fear of abandonment, seeking reassurance, over analyzing. I've realized that I'm an anxious attachment style.
I can walk around with a flag saying, I'm anxious attachment. Who likes it can have it, and who doesn't can go to hell.
We could let go of a lot of inner turmoil.
Whether it's trauma-based or not, it's just who I am.
Do you know what attachment style you are? I recently just figured out what mine was. So I have been on my self-discovery path, as all of you know. I've realized that I'm an anxious attachment style. If I start to get in a little argument with my spouse, or we get in an argument in the morning and then he goes off to work, when I'm left home with that space, I realize my mind tends to kind of get more distraught and more frustrated, and it kind of builds. The situation gets worse, because really it kind of cripples me for the day. Like I don't have the motivation to go to the gym like I was planning on. I can't be present for myself, for my kids. It's like I'm like, oh well, today just turned into a Netflix day, or I just like shut down. I have to like distract myself until my partner comes home, and then when we like talk it out and work through it, then I feel like I can come back to me and be in a good space. So an anxious attachment style. So listen up to this, those of you that are listening, and just see if this feels like this is you, that you fall in this category. And then Rain can give us some good feedback of like how we can work with this personality type. So anxious attachment style. Number 1 is fear of abandonment. Number 2 is seeking reassurance. Feel like you need to be reassured. Number 3 is over analyzing. I'm checking all of these boxes right now, 3 for 3. 4, difficulty trusting. 5, intense emotions. Number 6 is need for closeness. You need to be close to this person. 7 is dependency. 8 is difficulty letting go. Yeah, so those are the 8 for an anxious attachment style. So kind of fill that out and feel like that resonates with you, or, we'll talk about the other attachment style too, if that doesn't feel like that resonates with you.
So avoidance, the list of it is difficulty with intimacy, fear of dependency, avoidance of emotional expression, discomfort with commitment, preference for alone time, dismissive attitude towards relationships, difficulty trusting others, and emotional detachments. Now, if you just look at the word anxious alone, you'll understand what it loses. When you feel anxious, if any of you have gone through anxiety, I've, of course, lived in anxiety. So anxiety is basically a state of mind where thoughts cannot leave your mind at all. You're trapped in a thought. You're repeating like I could have and I should have and I would have and I wish and all this stuff. It's constantly. A lot of times when you're in a state of anxiety, you are not in a flight or fight. You are in a freeze state. You're frozen in time. So how Mel was explaining, she would stop. Her whole life would come to a stop, a standstill, like nothing. She would do nothing at all. She would just sit there waiting until all this stuff that needs to be released and talked about, until the partner comes so she can continue. It's as if she froze her day, right? It started here, it all froze, and then she can press play when he walks in so that all the stuff can come out, right? So it's exactly like an anxiety attack. It's exactly like being in an anxious state of being. Now, if you look at avoidance, it's exactly the same word. I am avoiding all of that, right? I'm avoiding all this messy anxiousness that's happening here, because whatever is happening here is too much for me to handle. And that feels like I'll be trapped, my freedom will be taken away, and I'll suffocate, right? Now, it's also very important to recognize, because I always have to say this, there's a difference between avoidant attachments and narcissists. I always have to say this because I know that people with narcissists will always like find an excuse or give them a behavior or a title because it's too hard to comprehend the other way, right? So don't get attached to any of these things, actually. Just let them just feel into them for yourself, and don't put yourself in the box of, oh my God, I'm just an anxious attachment, because we're all so much more than just that one title. So with anxious attachment, and I can speak from from what I had gone through with myself, when I discovered I was an anxious attachment, it hurt internally. And then it took like 5 minutes and I was ecstatically happy. I became so happy that I was anxiously attached because all of a sudden I was able to actually declare something to myself and say, this is who I am. Okay. And I'm fine with it. And I don't care. And it's just who I am and is the way that I am. So I'm going to just speak on behalf of the anxious attachment people out there who are dealing with avoidance, and it's heartbreaking. It hurts as hell. It feels humiliating. It feels like nobody loves you. It feels all these horrible feelings when you are the anxious attachment person, because the anxious attachment person, all we ever want is for like that attention, that eye contact, that conversation, the touch, the quality time, the feeling that we are a priority. You're right, because we really prioritize the people in our lives. So we really would love that to come back to us. We want to feel as much of a priority to someone as we prioritize that someone to ourselves, right? And the reason we prioritize them to ourselves is because we truly wish that they would do the same for us, because it's what we desire to feel. Because, like what Mel was saying, in all our childhoods, the anxious attachment, us, we didn't get that security, we didn't get the eye contact, we didn't feel safe in our environment. We were not given this safe container to be in. We weren't allowed to be ourselves, we weren't heard, we weren't seen, right? So it's this constant need for it all the time. But when I say that I was ecstatic when I finally felt and knew that I was anxiously attached, it was like all of a sudden there was nothing to fix. I didn't have to fix anything about me. Okay. Because as you've noticed, my whole entire career and everything that I adore is how to stop fixing self and to come terms with who I am and who my clients are and everyone. That's the objective. So when I discovered like there's a thing called the anxious, and this was just a year ago, I was like, oh my God, there's time for it. Now I can just love it. I can walk around with a flag saying I'm anxious attachment. Who likes it can have it, and who doesn't can go to hell. But it's just who I am, right? It's the kind of attention I need, whether it's trauma based or not. It's just who I am. I'm not going to fight against myself to be accepted by an avoidant or a secure attachment or a disorganized or whoever kind of attachment. This is who I am, and this is who I'm going to learn to come to terms with. So this is how I function. I need intimacy. I need eye contact. I need, when I'm speaking, someone listens to me. I need to be touched. I need to be heard. I need to be respected. And it all of a sudden dawned on me that this actually was the best gift in the world that came to me. Because I'm like, I'm going to own it. I'm going to own it and dress up in it, and I'm going to lavish in it. It's like when you discover you're pregnant, for those who got pregnant. Prior to discovering you're pregnant, okay, you're all like, oh my God, I'm eating so much and I'm puking and my moods, oh, I'm so moody and what's wrong with me? And I'm sweating and my boobs are growing, and you're like hating on yourself, right? You're like, oh, I'm gaining weight and I'm eating like a pig and now I'm getting like, I don't know what's happening to my nose. It's growing. And then you find out you're pregnant. And what happens the minute you find it out? You're you're like fine with your nose being ginormous and you gaining weight and your boobs, like everything changes. Perception changes because now you know why your body's doing this thing. And it's the same thing with this. When you discover the thing that you actually are, and you are not ashamed of it anymore, and it doesn't become the reason why everything in your life or your relationship is falling apart. It just becomes, this is just who I am and how I feel I deserve to be loved. And that's what I want. Right. And so when that happened, strangely enough, and this isn't something to wait for, because I really loved anxious attachment. Like even with friendships, sometimes when you have that intimate friend, you become an anxious attachment. It's just the way it is. Right. And it's knowing that and declaring it to self and to anyone. Be like, anyone says that and be like, I'm an anxious attachment. That's how I do it. You know, you take the all of me. So it's before anyone can actually accept the all of you, you have to accept the all of you. And if the world finds it It's not right to be an anxiously attached. I don't care anymore. Why? Because I've done so much work on myself and tried to please everyone in my world consistently all the time to make things work, to only discover it's in my system. It's part of my timeline. It's part of my history, right? It's part of what made me who I am. The reason I'm like this, it's made me kinder. It's made me more attentive. I've been available for a lot more people. I've been a helper. I've been the go-to person. Like all these amazing qualities came from what is deemed wrong in anxious attachment. So it's like taking all that and embracing it and being like, good, now I know what I am, and I'm going to work with who I am instead of fight against who I am, try to change it to accommodate the environment in which I'm in. Because as we do that, we're still doing what we did in the past in our childhood when we had to accommodate our parents because we really couldn't go anywhere. We were like 5, right? Couldn't build our own home, cook our own food, and take and pay the rent. And we couldn't do any of that. So we were trapped. We're not trapped today. Okay. The only reason we feel trapped is because our minds tells us this is still wrong. So when we're talking about a relationship with an attached style and an avoidance style, if each one could actually accept who they are, okay, and come to the table and just say, this is who I am and this is what I want. What are we going to do? It's a
Mhm.
completely different conversation rather than fighting and arguing about who's more correct. Is the avoidant or is the attached better? Neither is worse or better. The avoidance for an attached is hell to live with. Honestly, it is hell to live with. It's painful on so many degrees. And for the avoidant, it's probably hell to live with an attached person when their biggest thing is, I want my freedom and I don't want to show intimacy. I'm terrified to show anyone that I care in case they also abandon me. So both parties are afraid of abandonment. It's not that one's afraid of abandonment. Both are afraid of abandonment, but both have chosen 2 different ways of dealing with that fear. It's the same exact fear. But it's not my place to continuously allow the avoidant to feel safe in my presence, right? Because that's what attachers do. Constantly try to make the other person feel safe and secure. And here it's all fluffy and fine, and I'm safe. Trust me, just show me love. You'll get it like tenfolds more. This is what we do. It's like out of desperation. But it's not our role to do that, to prove to anyone how good we are, how available we are, how able we are. What it is, can I be cool with me being attached? I'm an anxious attachment. And the cool thing is, it's so weird, but I'm really not anymore. And I was a freaking attached. I'm not anymore. Like when I accepted it and I played with it and I went around declaring it, you know, it kind of subsided. It's not really part of my reality anymore. It could be a fear that, oh God, if I get into a relationship with a guy, it's going to be like that, but I don't even know that it's true anymore.
Mm.
Right. And so I needed to clear that out and the difference because I went through it personally. How it's like when you truly accept parts of you that the world also deems as no, 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 not a good thing. That's failing in your relationship because you are this. It's like, I can't do more than this. I can't. How many of you can actually change who you truly are? How many of you have been trying to change who you are for years to accommodate partner you're with, friends you're with, job you're with, the environment, or the dream personality you have in your head? Has it worked? No, you're still the same person. You're maybe more bitter, right? Maybe more less giving, less something has changed, but the core of you, if somebody gives you that attention and love, the core of you, you'll sprout out all with love again. It doesn't stop. So I think self-acceptance is key.
Yes, that is everything. It's all about the acceptance. And like you said, when you accepted it and you're like, wore it as a badge of honor, like, oh, and you're excited, like, I just discovered something new about myself. I didn't realize, and it makes sense. And so these labels, rather than seeing them as like, oh, that's a bad thing, it's like, no, just use it as information. It's just information to show like how you tick, how your mind works, how your heart works, how your body works, like, and just accepting it, it frees it from the negative part of it. Because everything, it's like, oh, there's the gift in it, and then there's the shadow self, and then there's the gift in it. But it's like it releases the shadow, where the shadow doesn't even have to be there anymore. It's like, oh, it's not, I don't even see it as dark anymore. It's just, it is what it is. It's just who I am. It's part of me. That's how, but there's so many gifts in it. So you try to cut off the shadow and kill that off. Well, you just killed off the whole being, the light, the gifts, everything with it. And I think that's what this is all about in this podcast, and the things we talk about. It's just that inner freedom, that self acceptance, that self love. It's like literally, like we keep saying, don't worry about healing anymore. There's nothing to heal. There's nothing to fix. It's literally just discovery, and just loving all those aspects of yourself will make you feel lighter. You'll feel free. Like the gifts will just keep coming, gifts that you've never probably even tapped into completely before, because maybe you've been blocking them, suppressing them, putting too much pressure, blame, shame on yourself. Like I'm talking for myself right now. Obviously, this has been my path and my journey. So if others can relate to that, this heaviness, I'm like, I just feel lighter each time when I'm like, a new self discovery comes up, and it's all about just that inner freedom and that self acceptance and that self love.
Yeah, because the shadow doesn't really exist. What shadow is, and I just received this right now. So what shadow is what our thoughts make out of the thing. So the thing itself doesn't have any shadow. Okay. Shadow is created by human. Shadow is created by the human saying that this part is shadow. This is wrong. This is shouldn't be. So it's a non-existent. Shadow doesn't exist. Okay. And shadow is actually something beautiful, because the shadow allows you to see the leaves on the tree. The shadow right now is allowing you to see the depth of my palm and where the light is. That's what shadow is, actually. It helps you see clearly. But the shadow we're talking about on earth here is what we have created, which is nonsense. So simple things like the beautiful list that Mel read out. When I read that list, like, okay, I just wrote 3 of the points. I didn't have time to jot down all the beautiful point. I'll maybe ask you, Mel, if you don't mind reading them. But one of them was intense emotions. So when I read intense emotions, I'm like, wow, I'm amazing. It's true. I feel everyone. I feel everything. I have intense emotions. So of course I'd want an intense relationship, because I feel so deeply. I need to feel my partner deeply, and I want them to feel me deeply. Like this is how I was taking that when I'd read, and I kept reading what it is, like need for closeness. I'm like, hell, of course I need closeness. Who doesn't need closeness? Even the avoidants want closeness. They're just terrified of it. But yes, there is a need for closeness, for that, for that hug. Sometimes we just need that hug that and it feels really good. I'm like, yeah, hell yeah. No, you know what? I'm calling it out. This is mine. I'm keeping both these lists. Difficulty letting go. Yes, I do have a hard time letting go because I love so deeply. Right. So, yes. So it's like changing everything instead of reading it as like, oh my God, intense emotions. So look, right now I could change it around. This is how easy we change things. Intense emotions. Oh my God, I really need to chill. That means I'm too intense for people to be around. It means I give too much and maybe they don't want it. So I have to pull back. Okay. So I need to stop being intensely emotional. I have to be more calm and more serene. There's something wrong with the intensity. See how I changed it? You felt this one and you felt the first one. The excitement of, oh my God. And the fear of, oh my God. It's really in our right? Did you see the difference, Mel?
Yeah. Oh my gosh. It seriously is like, whoa. It's just, yeah, it's
We can
amazing.
change
It
it.
changes everything.
Yeah, it's like need for closeness. I'll do the same thing. Of course, I want closeness, or need for closeness. Oh my God, I'm so needy, right? I need to be more independent. I need to pull away. I need to make sure that I don't need closeness that much. I can be my own self. I don't need to ask for it. It's like, what? So now all of a sudden, that same sentence seems like a threat and a horror movie about yourself. And now this is where you sit and reprimand yourself. Oh, look at how horrible anxious attachment is. Or look how magnificent this is. And the person can't accept this about me. There's something wrong with them. Totally different. So it's really perception. I could turn it into shadow or I can turn it into light.
Mhm.
There.
That's
Yeah.
powerful. That is powerful. Look at how quickly and simply we can shift things. And guess what? We're just talking about one topic right now. This is how this game works on every area of our life. every area where whatever it is, it's like if we can see the gifts in it and see it as like, oh, this is a good thing, like all the things that we judge, depression, anxiety, all these different things that we're just like, oh, this is the worst thing ever. And then it carries that energy. And then as we're focusing on the shadow and the darkness of it, and that's all we see. And then we just see it as this bad thing and then it just causes us pain because then we see us as bad and there's something wrong with us and then our partner and it affects it. And it's like we could let go of a lot of inner turmoil by just this. It's a perfect example. That was so good.
So we want to also talk about secure attachment. And then Mel, I think you asked questions, but I didn't have time to write them down. I'm sorry, love. When
Yeah.
we first spoke about it. But there was the secure attachment, which I think is
Yeah.
important for all of us to know more about. I fell in love with it. I
Yeah.
think you have the list, Mel.
Yeah. I'll read them and I'll let you talk about that. um, Okay, so secure. So this is kind of what we're going for. So those of us that have these other things, well, one, just own it and it's okay, have love for them. But it's just so you can find that peace and love within yourself. So this is a secure attachment style. Comfort with intimacy. 2 is ability to set boundaries. 3 is emotional resilience. 4 is effective communication. 5 is a secure base. 6 is trust in others. 7 is comfort with autonomy. And 8 is consistency in relationships. So that's what a secure style is. And this is something we can even put in the show notes in the description. We have more information about each one rather than just the word. We can put that in there too, just so you can fill this in more as well.
Mel, that is beautiful. And you know what? Honestly, a lot of people, I think this is the big mix up that's happening as you're reading the list again. And I remember what we spoke about earlier. A lot of people mix up or confuse secure attachment with avoidant. A lot of people assume that, oh, feelings are brushed off, right? Or, oh, nothing happens, they disappear, they come back and they never want to speak about it, or there's nothing happened at all, that's secure, right? That's complete opposite, actually. It's an avoidant because a secure person can love freely. A secure person will still call and check up on the anxious attached person in the house because they're secure. They're not worried like, oh my God, if I call and check up, I'll feel trapped and then the conversation will start again. And I don't want to, confront. There's nothing there. There's such a self-security. So the secure attachment style, they're comfortable with all aspects. They're comfortable with the attached and they're comfortable with the avoidant, right? Because there's nothing being triggered in them. They've had a very stable upbringing, right? They're very secure within themselves. Even if their parents were fighting or arguing, whatever was happening in their home, they always felt safe and secure within the home dynamics. At least one parent was giving them the support that they were loved and heard and, spent time with. So they have this security inside. So nothing the anxious or the avoidant does will shake their confidence of themselves, right? So the attached one is like so shaken by the avoidant walking away, like abandonment, that we're triggered. The same thing with the avoidant when they're like, oh my God, this thing wants to attach itself to me, right? And they're trying to run away for their life, right? They're being triggered. They look like they're the more stable ones because they don't really want to talk about it. They only say like a few sentences. They don't really speak much. And then they get sick and tired of the whole thing and walk off, right? So they make us feel like, oh, something's wrong with us. We're just too much to be around. But the secure attachment, you can talk from here until doomsday, and it will not trigger them to want to run away or talk more or whatever. They're just there. Basically, they're like these beautiful beings that are just there. They they communicate well. They trust people. They trust you. They trust everything. They kind of, in a sense, with the secure attachment, there isn't a judgment in any way. And there isn't a trauma that's being triggered by anyone. They're just there, right? And they're good being with whoever you are, right? But it doesn't mean, so you don't have to work with who they are and try to figure anything out. So just make sure that when people present themselves as, I don't really care, oh, it wasn't too much, or they forget the whole topic as if it never happened, there was an argument, 100, 2000%, these are avoidance. And it isn't secure. These are not secure people, because secure people can talk about stuff. Secure people will check in. Secure people will always come back. Secure people means I'm so secure in who I am that whatever you're going through, I'm safe being around you, so you can feel safe being around me. And you genuinely feel very safe around secure people. I've met 1 or 2 secure people, and it feels really good to be around them, because there's nothing other than just pure, they're consciously aware of who they are. So again, going into the narcissist and avoidant, there are so many videos out there to show you the differences between the two. They sound very, very similar. You know, the difference is also, it's quite clear, but you have to really know the difference. Just make sure that instead of identifying everyone on a label, everyone else really doesn't matter. Okay. The only reason I call out narcissism a lot is because people who are in these toxic relationships are so wrapped up in it that they don't want to see it. Right. And then they're constantly blaming themselves and trying to change themselves for the relationship. So when I call it out, I'm calling it out so this person can be free, not to dig up more about narcissism, but free to be like, okay, now it's time to look for me. Right. Because they've spent at least 90% of their mind thinking of the relationship and the narcissist instead of thinking of who they are. So when you come across stuff like this, information like this, please, everyone, spend time figuring yourself out, not your partner, because you've already done that for years and it hasn't worked. It hasn't worked. Just stop repeating the same thing. Just be like, oh, fine, they're avoidant, they're secure, they're another attached. I don't care. Who am I? Who am I right now? Can I do me for a bit? I've spent 20 years draining my energy into figuring out how to fix this relationship, who he is, so I can become like a mirror image to this person, so I don't, not too much for them. Drop all that. It didn't work. Right? What's going to work, what's always going to work, is when you discover you. So go into the list. Like Mel said, we're going to have the list for you. Go into the list, read it out. Even if you're avoidant, let's see, avoidant, difficulty with intimacy. It is very hard for me to do positives with avoidance just because they rub me the wrong way. But anyway, let me try this really hard. Difficulty with intimacy. Yeah, I have a difficult time being intimate because I just don't feel safe with people. Until I feel safe, then I'll be intimate. But until then, I just don't want to be intimate with anyone. See? Right? That's still, you're taking ownership on it. You just have to know it. Okay. So avoidance also will not look at this list. That's how avoidant they are. Like even this list, they'll have a hard time looking at it because they're trying to avoid even their deepest pains. So they also avoid their own pains. But they can look at this list. You can look at this list if you're an avoidant watching, and you can take it and make it positive for you. Fear of dependency. Of course, I love being independent. Who doesn't want to be independent? Being independent, going freely, da 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 da. I need to be with someone who just lets me loose, right? Who's comfortable with me disappearing and coming back, right? This is who I am. That's how you could take it also and change it into the light. Okay, I don't know if I did a very good job because it wasn't as passionate as the anxious one, but yeah.
That's great. So, okay, so what does one do though? Like me being in an anxious attachment style, I like you're like reading the secure thing. I'm like, wow, that sure would be nice. Oh, I would love to feel like that in all these areas. Like, I don't want to get sucked into these insecurities and whatever. Well, one question before that. Do you think, is there not very many people that are secure? Do you think it's a lot harder to find secure people that have been raised with whatever security they needed as children? Like, it seems like those would be hard to find. That would you assume most people fall into the like anxious or avoidant?
From what I've experienced, and maybe it's to do with my career path or my life path, what I've experienced, I've seen a lot more anxious and avoidant than secure. I know secure is there, but I've also know that an anxious or an avoidant can become secure.
Okay.
Right.
So that's what
So
I
it
want to know.
isn't, yeah, it isn't a hopeless case. It isn't like, oh, this is it. It's not a hopeless, it's kind of like you come to terms with who you are and how you love to receive love and offer love, because this is really all about love. It's how I like to receive it and how I like to offer it. It's just the way I am, and I don't want to change it for anyone, right? But the fact that the minute I become cool with it, I become secure
Mm.
because I'm secure in who I am and what I desire, right? There's no shaming and blaming. So that's what secure looks like. I am secure in who I am. Therefore, I will naturally have boundaries, which here, one of the things you mentioned, and I wrote it down, ability to set boundaries. So just think about it this way. If I'm anxiously attached and I become cool with being an anxious attachment, then I become secure in myself. I don't have to doubt myself. I don't have to change anything in who I am. I don't have to like keep looking at the guy in the relationship or the woman I'm with all the time trying to figure her out so I can become that person that they can finally appreciate. But I'm secure in me. So naturally, I become secure attachment. So there are a lot of people that go from anxious or avoidant into secure. That's why it's important to own it, to be it, because now you're secure with who you are. I don't care if like I have a toe growing out of my nose. If I'm secure with my toe growing out of my nose, then I'm just a person who has a toe growing out of her nose, right? Instead of like, oh, can I get rid of it so people can love me? Does that make sense?
Yeah. Wow. That just hit me. Like that's the only way through. There's no shortcuts. There's no way around it. There, you can't reject it enough. You can't hate it enough. You can't try to make excuse like whatever it is. It's just okay. This is how I am. This is what I need. And if that's what I need, then I need to vocalize it and I need to share that with my person. And they can take it or leave it, but this is what I'm going to do. And I need to share with someone or I need to be close. And it's like if it's not going to be you, then it's going to be with myself or with this person or yeah, just like owning it. Yeah, that's really awesome. So what do I do when I naturally go into, because this is a good example, like, start to get some tension and argument or something. And then I go into then like we leave, spouse leaves or whatever. And then I go into my overanalyzing thing where my brain is like, gosh, that really hurt. Gosh, he did not hear me. And I came from such a good space and I justify in my head, like I said this, I thought I did it in a good way, said it in a good way. I asked this. They seemed like, I don't know, I just read it wrong or I didn't like how they responded or whatever. And then I go into overanalyzing it. What do I do to get out of that space when my brain default naturally goes there because I've done it my whole life? That person leaves, I'm home alone. What do I do to not be like you said? I thought that was perfect. It's like I freeze. It's so true. It's like I freeze in time. The day gets completely wasted and then it's like, okay, the person comes back, play. All right, now let's finish this. So what do I do in that space in between to not have it get worse in my head? How can I make it get better? So then when the person comes home, it's like I'm in a good space and we can just be like, okay, this is what I found out. What we talk. Yeah.
Hmm.
Give me all the answers. Oh, wise one.
Oh, wise one. Well, before wise one goes on, please, if you are enjoying this episode and if you like our content, don't forget to hit subscribe, like, and please leave us comments. It means the world to us. This will really help the algorithms, the crazy algorithms taking place. So thank you. Okay, so getting back to this amazing, oh my God. Okay, let me breathe. Okay, so what happens when you've had that conversation, you feel incomplete because the avoidant doesn't want to have that conversation right now, or they're busy running to work, or whatever it is, and you freeze your day waiting for them to come back, but now you're frozen in thought, as in, oh my God, did I say it right? Did I say it wrong? I thought I said with the I first. I thought I said with the this first, but they still didn't respond in the way I want them to, or in the way that comforts me. And they still, the reaction to all the heavy work I've tried to do to make it a better communicative experience has still failed. Basically, I failed again. That's the thing. I failed again. I failed again. I failed again. So when you're in that space of I failed again, and you know you're an anxious attachment, what I'm hearing is best way to say, hey, I'm an anxious attachment. I have a right to feel this way. So you basically, what you're trying to do with you is you're trying to, instead of the whole, there's so much shame and so much judgment and so much blame happening, right? So the dude is left, right? And he's not shaming and blaming. He's just avoiding. He's like, oh, don't have to ever deal with this again. And we're alone in the house going, ah, or you're alone going through this mayhem. But what's happening is you are hating on yourself right now. It's you that's wrong. It's not that, he's avoidant, right? It's like he's an avoidant. Who do I need to become so an avoidant can give me what I want? Right? So what you do is, and this really, really helps, is the disconnect, which is you must breathe. You breathe in, I'm okay. I'm okay. I did my best. I did my best. Your brain might come in and say, you didn't do your best. Last time you spoke better and he responded differently, but this time, but there's no consistent pattern, right? Because what anxious us try to do is we try to find a consistent pattern to please that partner, to please that spouse, to please that parent. We want a so every time I say, I felt blah, 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 and then he answers like, oh, I'm sorry, then I will use I felt every single time. But then you use I felt that evening and it doesn't work the same way. And so it becomes a disappointment. And instead of saying that there's nothing wrong with what I said and there's nothing wrong with them, right? It's just the energies has changed right now. It's not the same thing. And there's nothing consistent because what is consistent is being more of you, Mel, being more of you, right? So why is it so important to be okay with being an anxious attachment? You look at the list and you say, yes, I love intense emotions. I was having an intense emotion time and I love myself that I gave myself the freedom to have it, right? I love the need to feel closeness and he just left and I have that need. I admire myself for having that need right now because what's happening, the reason you freeze, the reason anxiety happens is we've got a lot of someone saying something really crappy. That's anxiety. It's a war between the light and the darkness, right? So the light of you is coming out and being like, I did really good. And the dark coming and saying, no, you didn't. Didn't say it this way. You took too long. Now he feels like you're too much or you're too little. You should have said it shorter. You should have said it in the eye. And all these shoulds are coming, right? And the shoulds just break you down. So you freeze because now you're stuck in limbo. You don't know, were you good? Were you bad? You don't know. But the best and fastest way to that route is, how do I compliment myself right now? Right? So anxious attachment sounds like a very bad thing. That list, all anxious attachment people, walk around with that list on your phone, right? Open it up. The points that Mel just read out, I only wrote 3 of them. Give me some of the other points. So there's intense emotions, need for closeness, difficulty letting go.
Overanalyzing. Let's see,
What?
difficulty trusting,
Over analyzing.
overanalyzing,
Mm,
dependency, difficulty letting go, and fear of abandonment.
okay. Okay. So I'll take this list. Okay. You're in the state. Okay. Your desire is to continue talking. You want to talk it through. Don't forget, a lot of sensitives in the world could be anxious attachment because we sometimes have to feel our words and see the reactions of others so that we can feel who we are through it. So when the avoidance just cuts it, it's like you're having a phone call and it just cuts halfway in the most important part, or you're watching this movie and just when he's about to, you don't know if he's going to murder her or not, the electricity goes off. It feels like that. It feels like just a suffocated cold turkey cut from like this flow that's happening. So of course it's a state of emergency. Of course it's a state of what did I do wrong for me to be shut down now? It feels like a shutdown, right? So the only thing to do is take this avoidant list and start everything about it. Oh, I'm an overanalyzer. Incredible. I love how my brain works. That's why I'm able to, with Mel, I'm going to give this example. I'm able to think of all the marketing ways and tools. That's what just my brain does. It's incredible how I do it, right? I love myself. Look at what I'm doing. I'm even trying to analyze this relationship. I'm so good at doing this stuff, right? Fear of abandonment. Of course, who the hell in this world isn't afraid of being abandoned? I felt I was abandoned the minute I was popped out of my mom's stomach, right? That's the abandonment. That's the real abandonment. Like I was part of her, now I'm not. I've just been spat out. Of course I have a fear of abandonment. Self for being so afraid of being abandoned. That makes me so attached to people and want to be around them, right? Difficulty letting go. Yeah, I just why? Because I have so much heart. Like, Mel, you're amazing, sweetheart. You just love giving so much and you have so much heart and you want your heart to be heard, you know? So of course it's hard to let it go. And I just felt like I was cut short, you know? But I'm such an intuitive being and I like to feel conversations. I like to speak my truth. I like to hear what they have to say about it because I like to contemplate because I overanalyze. So they'll say this thing and I'll think about it. Is it true? Is it not? That's the kind of way I like to talk. I like to take my time. I like to speak this way. Today, I wasn't in the mood to be very, I feel, I feel. I just felt like saying, you are, you are. So what? Today, I was in that mood. Isn't it wonderful? I have the courage to actually speak way now. I never thought I'd have courage. So it's changing the dialogue because it's less about them and it's more about you. All these hours where you've frozen, it's like you want to defrost yourself. You want to go out and play and have fun and continue your day in a place where you're fulfilling your amazing anxious attachment style, right? With people who are maybe the same or who understand it so that your bucket is filled. So when he comes in, he's not the savior of your life. He's not God, right? He's just another human being walking in because you're complete. But you're only complete because you've told yourself things you've loved on yourself basically, you've complimented yourself, you've been nice to yourself. I don't know, does this help? Is this
Yes. So that's what it is. So when I have that space, when normally I like go into the over analyzing and it's usually it tends to be a negative experience for me. It like I think of the worst, I go to all or nothing. It's yeah, as if like it's full abandonment. This relationship isn't gonna work. This is, it's like this extremes. Like I feel like this roller coaster ride that I'm on. And I'm like, sometimes it's just exhausting. um, because I do have intense emotions and I have a lot and I'm so deeply passionate, you know, and it's like, it's awesome because I can be really fun to be around because I put so much passion and love into things. But also, yeah, there's the part where it's the pain where I'm trying to like, okay, don't beat myself up, Mel. You don't need to use that special gift of yours to cause yourself more inner pain. Do that enough. But yeah, so taking the space to just give myself that self love, fill up my bucket, say out loud if I need to, or within myself, like, hey, it's fine. It's okay that you're feeling this. This is a gift, in fact. Don't see it as negative. You're good. You're beautiful. He just couldn't handle it right now. He can take his space. We can talk later. Go take care of you, Mel. Go have some fun. Go to the gym if you want. Go take care of yourself. Like, don't give yourself away. And I have to remind myself, don't feel like you have to be in pain. It's like I feel like I have to be in pain until we talk it out, like wherever it left. So it's like rewriting that story and just practicing through it. And you've helped me do that too. You're like, Mel, what? Okay, this is your energy. This is my energy. Like, remember my energy. My energy is easygoing. I like to have fun. I love dancing, going and working out, going outside, and then just go fill my bucket full and then can come back to the conversation if and when needed. Maybe we don't need to because I took care of myself. Maybe that's all I needed was to just hear myself through that. And then it's like, okay, just let it go.
yeah, because sometimes it helps, like if you're someone, and this is speaking to everyone, I was exactly the same. I get it. If you are someone who focuses so much on the relationship and the partner, then your medicine is to focus on self. That's the medicine. There's no other medicine because the other way hasn't worked. So naturally, the opposite must be true. So it must be that it's less about, oh, well, he didn't have the space to hear me or nothing. Like, even I just heard you say it, like, you even gave like two things about him. Even that, catch yourself saying that because that's the pattern. The pattern is always, oh, but they're having a hard time at work, or they were pissed, or they got a call from their mom, or something. So therefore, that's why it's excusable for them to treat me this way. But I need to change now, right? I need to change to make the treatment better, and it just doesn't work, right? So it's like you're totally going to disconnect. It's like you want to pull your energy back here It's like you're going to force it back in here instead of it being out there. Because when something's out there, it can look at you and go like this. But when something's here, can't do this anymore because it's not like you should have spoken better, right? So it's like I always visualize myself pulling my hands out and being like, come back home. And I like pull it back and I do the action with my hands so I can feel that I've promised myself I'm back here. I'm like, okay, be kind to yourself right now. Right now, be kind to you, Rain. You better be kind. What's amazing about you? List them. I want to hear them. Like I talk to myself that way because that self that is being mean to me, I needed to know that I'm in control. And the one in control needs to hear nice things because I only function with compliments and nice words, right? You only function with compliments and nice words. All of you, most of you function with compliments and nice words. So if I need to defrost myself, I need to speak it to me. No one's going to defrost it. Sitting all day waiting for him to come back to continue that quick cut off, right? Because it's like you feel unplugged, right? You're waiting for that person to come back to feel, oh, now let me plug it in, right? So it's like, okay, how can I reverse and plug it back here just for now? Because I deserve to be okay right now. I deserve to be okay. And it's not easy. I mean, if you have a friend that you truly trust that isn't going to throw you with advice and do all that stuff and be like, well, you should and you shouldn't. If you have a friend you trust, whenever you're feeling in that space, because it's a pattern you're trying to break, and this is really important, send her a message or call him or her. I don't care. You have this person you trust, be like, I'm in this space because all we always ever need is we need that thread. Okay, we don't need somebody to give it all. We just need somebody to be like, wake up. Who are you? Right? You have to have that friend. You send the message, you make that call, you be like, I need to hear it. And all they have to do is not reprimand you, put you down. All they have to be like is remember who you are. You're joy, you're fun, you're kind, you're loving, you're amazing. Everybody loves you around, blah, 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 blah. Right? And then you come back home, right? So there's a trusted person in your life. Everyone has one trusted person that is willing to just be kind, not the advice giver, just kind. That person is your person until you've heard it enough and you know how to catch the thread on your own and do it for yourself. That person should be there for you. I hope that's helpful though.
I love that. And it really is, it's a practice, especially when we're breaking some of these cycles that kind of the self-abuse, the shame talk, all the negative self-talk that a lot of us humans tend to fall into autopilot. Unfortunately, that's really sad that that's kind of how it is. And I think that's probably the point of this human experience with these deep feelings and emotions that we have that I assume animals and plants don't have. That's our experience. And that should be the joy in it, these feeling things that nothing else is able to fill the depths that we're able to fill. But I think the problem is we allow ourselves to feel so much pain and hurt, and we absorb that naturally, that we've got to fix this disconnect of feeling like we're not good enough, or that we should equally receive the love and the goodness that we should feel. So I'm like, I feel like I've felt in the depths of my hell and my pain. And now I'm like really trying to get out of that, like knowing like, okay, I've experienced it, I felt it. I really want to dive in and dig to like the depths of like my love and my heart and my joy. I don't feel like I've fully done that. That's the path. That's what we're creating and talking about here on Expand, to expand into more of that goodness and joy and the light and being in the light, not digging in the dark to find the light. That's not how it works. Um, so yeah, just that coming back home to self and that self-love and that self-talk. I think that's such a beautiful reminder. And
I think
I
it's
would,
important. Yeah, go ahead. Go ahead.
oh, I was just going to say, I would love for everyone to comment like what your attachment style is. If you heard what we said, I would just love to see what attachment style, if you relate to the anxious or the avoidant or the secure, or the other one was, it's disorganized. We didn't talk about that one too much because I think the other ones are a little bit more people fall into. It's an extreme of both, actually. That's what disorganized is. But anyways, I'd love for you guys to comment and put which attachment style you are, or if you don't know, then put that there too. But Yeah. What were you gonna
Yeah,
say?
and I that's amazing. It's true. Yes, it's a perfect question for this episode. And we'd love you to answer it because the more we know about you, the more we can interact and you guys can share your questions and we can do more of this fun stuff and have you involved in our lives. I would also completely recommend Mel our last episode. How does a sensitive person open their hearts? I think this would go well with you guys need to check that one out because this will merge perfectly once we're done with this episode. Just try that one out. We'll have the link on the top or in the descriptions at the bottom for sure.
Yeah.
Yes. So if you are looking to be a secure attached person, then the only thing you need to do is be secure within whoever you are. Forget even all these titles. You can simply say, I love being over emotional. Then start loving it. Start loving that this is who you are, and you're just going to become a very securely attached person. Because who are you truly attached to? These attachments that are showing up, the secure attached is not attached to someone else. I'm securely attached to myself. I'm anxiously attached. I'm anxiously attached to myself. I'm avoidant attached. I'm avoiding attachment with myself. That's what it actually means. We always assume it's the outside world, it's someone else we're attached to. And this I just received at this instant right now, right? So when you think of attachment, we always assume attachment is something outside of us. But if you actually really truly look into it, it's the attachment we feel within us towards ourselves. So if I feel anxiously attached towards myself, meaning I have an anxiety when I have to sit by myself, I get anxious when I have to just be with me, right? Alone, I cannot do it. I have to have other with me, right? Avoidant detachment means very similar but different. Means I will do anything in my power, okay, to avoid feeling what I have to feel. Okay. Anxious attaches, I feel too much. Avoidant, I don't want to feel anything of what I feel. So I will avoid anyone who will open the door for me to look further deeper into my emotion or even theirs because I can't handle theirs because then I'll have to look at mine, right? That's an avoidant. I'm avoiding anything emotions, right? If we can have fun and come up with like a party plan and like, oh, let's go skydiving and whatever that is, great. Come with me with an emotion. I'm not having anything to do with you. I don't even want to look at my stuff. Anxious attachment, we're like, I really want to look at my stuff. I want to look at your stuff and everyone's stuff.
Oh, that's so funny.
Right?
Wow. That is that just like really hit me. That really hit me like, oh my gosh, like it's not freaking about them. It's not about them, this stuff. And it's like, but it we think that it is. We think, oh, they need to give it to us. Oh, fear, they need to help protect this fear of abandonment. They need to help, they need to do this. And it's like, no, it's my own fear of abandonment. It's my own. And it's like, I need to practice to move through it. Like, let the person go and practice. Like, it's me abandoning me. It's not them. Like everyone I can see it seeking reassurance. It's reassurance within myself. Over analyzing. Why am I over analyzing everything that I did and said? Like all of it is this is all showing me what's going on within me that I'm projecting on them that I want. No, you need to show up this way. Do I need a different partner then? Like, what do I do? Oh my gosh, are we compatible? Can I stay with this person? And it's like trying to like have an easy out to escape and abandon this whole what could be a beautiful relationship that realize we see it as like a poison or a bad thing. These other people not realizing they're our medicine right in front of us. This is the person that's just showing up, letting me see like Mel, you need to be okay. When you have a conversation, they need to go. Like, what do you need to go give yourself? Why are you like in inner turmoil and like destroying yourself inside? Like, I don't know, it just really hit like just how important it is. This game of life is all about it's me versus me. Like it's just me. What's going on with me? Like other people are just fun little people doing just they're just doing their thing. They're in their own life. They're in their center of they're the center of their world and they're just trying to figure it out as well, the best that they can with whatever they grew up with or whatever they have within them that's completely different than me. So it's like just coming back home to me every time of, uh, yeah, this is going to be good. And it's a practice. It really is a practice, just like yoga is a practice, like the breath work. When you go to a yoga thing, it's like, okay, we do this, we breathe in the motion, out with the motion, exhale, inhale, all of this. This is this is a practice to just coming back home in that self-love and filling our self-love bucket and not blaming the other people for it and giving them all our power away to them. Oh, good
Yes.
reminder. Dang.
Ah, that was good. I feel rejuvenated.
Oh my gosh, I
Doing
love it.
those.
Oh my yeah. I love these conversations. This was so great. And things just click more when we just sit down and talk about this. And when you have your beautiful insights, the way you say it, it's like sometimes it's like I know it's me, whatever. But then sometimes it just sinks in where it's like, oh, it's for this thing too. I like to think this is an exception. Nope. No, this one, the other person, we need to talk it out. We need to figure it out. So part of me was like, oh, well, should we have these conversations with our partner and be like, hey, like, let's talk about it. Because for me, maybe that's because it's an anxious style. I'm still playing that game of, oh, I just discovered this information. Now I want to like go talk to my husband, like, hey, do you want to watch some videos? But I guess my last question is that still outsourcing my power? Is it like, no, you don't even need to do that. Just go practice sitting with yourself. If eventually it comes up, sure, maybe. But is that also me escaping or is that okay to do that?
Well, it's interesting because it like I think you'll know the answer, and all of you will know the answer. If you ask yourself, am I doing it in hopes that he can see it and change or get it? Right? Is there like a part of me? Because I would do that a lot, right? But I'd be like, let's watch this, let's do this in hopes that they can get what I just received so that I'm not doing it on my own and they can hopefully wake up and see it. And then, so it really is like, what's the deeper intention? Is it still the same old pattern? Like, you know, change him, right? I'm going to make this, I'm going to work on it, but I'll come from this way this time, right? Or is it more like, this is great information for me? And you start doing the thing. And if he ever one day shows up and says, what are you listening to? What are you doing? Then it's an invitation to share. But it really does depend. Or when you're like fully secure and you're like, maybe this will interest him. Here you go. So, what is it with you, Mel? Like, is it inside? Is it a hope you can get it and start working on
Well,
it?
I think part of me is like, well, cool. Like if I'm learning this new stuff, like let's learn it together in a relationship. Because I feel like, okay, if we're both hearing this information and it's like he can admit, like, you know what, yeah. Or I can be like, hey, read these. Do you feel like you fall into any of these ones? And then we talk about it. I guess part of me, it's fun because I like to have these deep, meaningful conversations. I love that. That's closeness to me. That's intimacy to me. Like I want to have something deep to talk about with my person versus just how was the weather? How was work? Like, so part of it's that. But also, I think part of it probably is just really wanting him to see it too, to like make our relationship go like faster in the right direction. And I think at this moment in time, since I do know that I tend to want to do that, that I think I do need to practice first is like practicing Mel. Can you be okay not going straight to the person, trying to have them fix it too and me fix it at the same time? It's like, can I be secure within myself? Like, I think that's the test that I need to test myself. Um,
Yes, I think that's important because
just be
also
with
the other
me.
one is like still manipulating the relationship. Like I like a relationship that's intimate and we can grow together and learn together. But I bet you anything you've been doing this most of your relationship. You're the one putting it together. You're the one trying to build these intimate moments and conversations and everything. But the other party isn't the one putting in the effort the way you want it. So it would be very interesting if you start what you just said, recognizing this in you, stop repeating the same thing that has failed, obviously, because you want the other person to be as invested,
Mm,
right? And you want to give them the space to invest or not invest,
mm,
right? But you want to you because I know it, we really want to make the relationship the way we want it to be so we can feel safe. It's my dream relationship, but you're not acting like my dream relationship right now. So let me spoon feed you how to be in my dream relationship, right? And it is because it's scary to be alone. It really is. It's that fear of abandonment, right? And like I don't want to be in a relationship where I have no communication. We're going to talk about the weather and like, did you enjoy the meal? But it's like, can I let go of fixing the whole relationship? Can I let it all go? Because that's an anxious attachment. Can I let it go to fixing it and making it meet my desired intention? And can I try to meet my desired intention towards who I would like to be so that I can be confident and secure in all the aspects of who I am. If I can be secure in my anxious attachment, can I be secure being anxiously attached? Can I be cool with it? Can I be okay? Can I pat myself on the back? Can I go around telling everybody I'm secure attached? That's it. So I'm going to be emotional with you. I'm going to speak this way. I'm going to expect to just speak for hours about something I really am interested in. And I'm going to expect you to pay close attention. You want this? I'm here. You don't want this? Then I'm not the one for you. Right? It's like that kind of confidence in self. And you're going to notice the more you become like that, the more secure in self we all become. The people with issues feel safer to be around us now because we're not like trying to grab onto their energy anymore.
Yeah.
We don't need their energy.
Wow. Yeah, that just hit another thing is like if I could work on just being secure myself, do you know what? I'm like, oh my gosh, it just hit me. Like when people say all the time, and I fully believe this, when we change ourselves, it's like the outside world just changes. When we shift our perspective, it's like everything looks different. If I'm like not seeing this thing as a negative, I'm like, oh, actually, this is a gift. Then I see that gift in myself and I see that gift in everybody else. When maybe a day ago, it was like I was rejecting it. I was like, oh, this sucks. I can't trust this person or whatever, realizing it wasn't me. And that's what I'm seeing in the world. I'm like, anyways, it just hit me like, oh my gosh, if I really just work on, like you said, not trying to spoon feed them, let's do this together. Again, it's still trying to coerce it into maybe it's not the right time for them. Or maybe I have to prove it to myself and actually feel it, embody it. There's no shortcuts. There's no using anybody else to try to make me happy, which still I feel like I keep wanting to go there. If I can just practice with myself, Mel, you need to be okay. If the person needs to leave, it's okay. And like you said, with those tools that you said, come back to me, talk out loud, feel out loud, give myself self love, give me permission to like go do the thing that I wanted to do before the argument happened or whatever. Like keep like be in my space and my energy. If I am secure like that, I bet the other person, their insecurities of like, the reason they probably want to push away is because it's feeling too clingy. Maybe it is my anxious style that's suffocating them and I don't feel like I am. But if I'm secure, they're naturally going to want to come and be around me more because it feels safe, because I wasn't safe before, because it was this, I was going to control, I was going to fix, I was going to try to manipulate and have it be the conversation that I want, the way I talk, the way I want them to respond. And they're like, I'm afraid to even say anything to this person because if I say anything, they're going to like get their feelings hurt. So I might as well not say anything. And I'm like, they're not saying anything. It's hurting my feelings. Like, oh my gosh, I can see how we're like, these two wounded children are just butting up to each other, going like this, and it's never going to break. We're going to just have frustrating relationships that a lot of us tend to be stuck in because we think it's the other person needs to change. And it's really just me being secure with me. And then once I can do that, it's going to just naturally ripple out. And then they'll be able to be secure with them. And we're going to have a really great freaking relationship and learn from each other and grow together. Oh, man. Okay.
But
Back
I
to
want to
me.
ask you for something because everyone who just heard that, I have to call this out. I have to. The whole rest of the sentence, it must be deleted. That hopeful, dreamy, well, when I find my me, he'll find himself and we'll all be happy forever together, happily ever after Disneyland fantasy. Please cut that whole, because that becomes now the motive. That becomes the incentive. That becomes the drive, right? That becomes the thing, which is exactly the same thing like before. It's exactly the same story, right? I'm doing it for the relationship because once I'm secure, he'll be secure. He'll come back. I'll finally have the relationship I dream of. The same thing. I just want to bring very clear awareness because we do that. We even manipulate ourselves, right? So it's like clear cut. The relationship is a pocket of energy. He's a pocket of energy. I'm a pocket of energy. Okay. There are two pockets of energy I will take a break from. And I won't even be like, well, if I find myself, it's like when they say, if you do really well, you're going to go to heaven, right? So you're doing really well to go to heaven, but you're not doing really well just because I'm doing really well, right? Because there's an end result. Now, if we cut off, we kill that end result. Okay. And we say there is no end result. There isn't a happily ever after. He may stay exactly the same way he is. And you decide, I can't do this. And you find somebody else, or you don't find anybody else. And you're in euphoria being alone. It's a million scenarios, right? So the goal is, how can I be secure with just being who I am? Whoever who I am is. I'm an angry, crazy bitch. I'm a overgiving, people pleasing codependent. I'm an anxious attack. Can I be okay with all these aspects about me? Full stop. But there isn't. Do you see what I'm going with that?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Because we do that, because then we attach to that hope again, which is exactly the same story, which now I'm waiting. Oh, see, I feel secure. I feel secure. My proof is, did he change? Is the relationship changed? That becomes my proof. And then when that doesn't work, when he hasn't changed, or a relationship hasn't changed, what happens now is I'll go back to self and say, it didn't work. What I did didn't work. Right?
Do
Because now I'm
something
using my
different.
outside
Try
world.
something different rather than just,
Right?
yeah, I think it has to be just sincere and really like no motive besides, I just want to love me. I just want to go be with me. And then
I
whatever
want to
falls into
feel good.
place, I just want
I
to
want
feel
to feel
good.
good.
Mm-hmm.
I just want to feel good inside. Like, can that be the purpose of everyone's life? I just want to feel good inside. I'm sick of feeling shitty. I'm sick of it. I just feel good. I don't care. It's because of the relationship. I don't care because he changed. I don't care because I'm living the dream life I want. I just want to feel good no matter what. How can I make that happen for me? I just want to feel good, right? Whether the person is in a bad mood or not, in all scenarios, I always just want to feel good.
Mm-hmm.
That makes that I think changes everything.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, thanks for pointing that out and being very clear. Because again, yes, we don't want to use this as a different story and a different excuse to, yeah, try to play the game. It really is just come back to self and self love. Give ourselves those gifts, not expecting it from other people because we're
Mm.
not going to get it from other people, and that shouldn't be the purpose. That's not what it's about. I love it. It's perfect. All right. Well, I think that's everything that I wanted to share on that. Is there anything else you want to share on this topic?
No, I think me too. I'm pretty set. Thank you, Mel. This was delightful today.
Yeah, this is a great conversation. Okay, so we want, or all of you guys, if you love our content and our information, please like, comment, subscribe. We do want to hear what your attachment style is, or just put you don't know if you don't know. I'd love to see who knows already what their attachment style is. And those of you that don't know or haven't looked into this, feel free to comment if you have any other questions. If there's stuff that we missed, you can comment on it and we could do another recording of it, like a smaller one, just to focus on a specific thing if we missed something. And so yeah, so we have a free gift that we want to offer for you guys that we have. So make sure to look at this in the description. It's 11 essential questions for self-discovery. So this is something that you guys can just get for free, download, and just sit with yourself and answer these questions that will really be helpful on your path of self-discovery. And then check out our Buy Me a Coffee. We have lots of great product on there, ebooks and e-guides and jewelry. I'm wearing some darling earrings that are on there. I pretty much wear different jewelry every time, but these are some really cute stones. If you're watching the video, if not, go check it out and buy me a coffee. So we have them for sale. And yeah, just go check it out and make sure to check out the last episode too if you haven't already. The how does a sensitive person open their heart? Because that's kind of relating as we're tapping into heart space and connecting with ourself. That one will be a great episode to add some value to this as well. So, anyways, thank you all, and we'll see you on the next episode.